Every day you're either growing or you're decaying. There is no neutral. The person you are today is the result of the thoughts you've fed your mind, the choices you've made, and the knowledge you've pursued or ignored. If you're not learning, you're not just standing still, you're falling behind. The truth is your future isn't waiting to be found. It's waiting to be built, and it begins with what you choose to learn. Today, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. This truth is often misunderstood, yet it holds the key to unlocking a life of true potential. While school may equip you with the basics, reading, writing, arithmetic, it's the learning you pursue after the classroom that determines the trajectory of your life. Education doesn't end with a diploma or a degree. It begins again the moment you take full responsibility for your own growth. When you commit to educating yourself every day, you start to shift the foundation of your future. You stop depending on systems, bosses, or the economy to determine your success. You begin to understand that knowledge isn't just information. It's power, it's leverage, it's transformation. Every day you pick up a book, listen to a podcast, take a course, or reflect on your experiences. You're investing in an asset that appreciates over time, yourself. You see, there's a major difference between consuming and learning. Many people consume content. They scroll through motivational quotes, watch quick videos, maybe listen to something in the background. But true self-education requires intention. It's deliberate, it's strategic, it's focused. You don't just read anything, you read what aligns with your goals. You don't just listen for entertainment, you listen for wisdom. You're not trying to fill time, you're trying to fill your mind. And the amazing part is that the tools for this kind of growth have never been more accessible. You can learn a new skill in the same time others binge a TV series. You can master a philosophy in the time it takes others to scroll through social media. You don't need to be in a university to be educated. You need to be hungry. Hungry for knowledge, for insight, for progress. Every book you read becomes a mentor. Every journal you keep becomes a blueprint. Every challenge you face becomes a lesson. The question is, are you paying attention? Are you capturing the ideas? Are you applying them? Because learning without application is just entertainment. But learning with application, that's evolution. Look around you. The people who rise to the top in any field are not always the ones with the highest degrees or the fanciest credentials. They are the ones who made it their mission to learn beyond the syllabus. They're the ones who studied late when no one asked them to. Who practiced, experimented, failed, and kept going. They didn't wait for permission to grow. They gave themselves that permission every single day. And don't think for a moment that this means you need to know everything. You don't. What you need is curiosity. What you need is consistency. Learn something every day, even if it's 5 minutes of a powerful audiobook, even if it's one chapter of a book that challenges your thinking, even if it's one question asked to someone wiser than you. Day by day you stack those insights, and eventually they form a foundation so strong that no recession, no crisis, no obstacle can knock you down. Self-education teaches you how to think, not just what to think. It teaches you how to spot opportunities, how to lead, how to negotiate, how to communicate, how to make decisions. It develops not just your knowledge but your confidence, and confidence built on competence is unstoppable. Confidence that comes from daily growth gives you the strength to walk into any room, face any challenge, and know you belong. Let me know if you'd like to expand the next keynote in the same tone or turn this into a video script with visuals and voiceover cues. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. That simple shift in mindset can transform frustration into fuel. Most people look at their problems and hope for them to shrink. They want the weight to lift, the pressure to ease, the struggle to disappear. But the truth is, life rarely becomes easier. The circumstances don't always change. The world doesn't slow down just because you're overwhelmed. If anything, the pace of life only accelerates. The only lasting solution is to become stronger, wiser, and more capable, and that comes through personal development. When you start focusing on becoming better instead of hoping for easier days, you take back control. You stop waiting for external conditions to improve, and you start working on what's within your control, yourself. The problems you face today may not go away, but if you grow, they'll no longer feel like problems. The same mountain that once felt impossible to climb becomes a morning hike when your legs are strong enough. The same task that once felt overwhelming becomes routine when your skills have improved. Getting better isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest with where you are and relentless in your pursuit of growth. It's about identifying your weak points and turning them into weapons. It's about taking ownership and full responsibility for how you show up each day. No more blaming the economy. No more blaming your boss. No more blaming your past. When you own your growth, you own your future. One of the fastest ways to get better is to ask better questions. Don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What can I learn from this?" Don't say, "This is too hard." Say, "What skill do I need to develop to handle this?" When you change the question, you change your focus. And where your focus goes, your energy flows. Energy spent complaining is wasted. Energy spent learning is invested. It's not the size of the challenge that determines your success. It's the size of the person facing the challenge. And that size isn't measured in height or weight. It's measured in character, in competence, in courage. These aren't qualities you're born with. These are qualities you build through deliberate practice, daily effort, and an unwavering commitment to grow. Getting better requires discipline. Discipline to do what you said you would do. Discipline to stick to your learning routine when distractions call. Discipline to revisit the fundamentals, even when you think you've outgrown them. Growth is rarely convenient, but it is always worth it. It's easy to wish things were easier. It's easy to hope that one day the problems will vanish. The critics will be silenced and success will just arrive. But that day never comes to the passive. It comes to the prepared. It comes to the one who decides to rise. Regardless of the opposition, regardless of the odds, when you embrace the challenge, when you lean into discomfort, when you choose growth over ease, something remarkable happens. You start becoming the person who no longer fears hard times. You become the person who's trained for them. You've sharpened your mind, strengthened your will, and educated yourself daily to meet adversity with confidence. The world respects those who do the hard work in silence, who prepare in the shadows, who study, train, and improve when no one's watching. And when the time comes, when pressure mounts and stakes rise, those are the people who perform, not because the challenge got smaller, but because they got better. Let me know if you'd like to expand Keynote 3 next in the same compelling style, or turn this into a speech script ready for video or stage. Miss a meal, but don't miss your daily learning. That may sound extreme, but it reveals something powerful. Feeding your mind is just as critical as feeding your body. In fact, the nourishment you give your mind shapes your future in ways no meal ever could. The mind, unlike the stomach, doesn't get full. It expands with every new idea, every insight, every spark of understanding. And when you make learning a daily priority, you begin to rise above the crowd, not because you're better than others, but because you've chosen to grow when others chose to coast. It's not about how much you learn in one sitting, it's about the consistency of learning over time. 5 focused minutes every day adds up to hours of growth over a year. 1 page of a good book a day is 365 pages in a year. That's multiple books, multiple mentors, multiple transformations. What most people don't understand is that compound growth doesn't just apply to money. It applies to knowledge, wisdom, and personal power. And it doesn't take grand efforts. It's not about locking yourself away in a study for hours. It's about being intentional. It's about saying, before I scroll, I study. Before I entertain, I educate. There's no shortage of content, but not all content feeds the mind. Some just numbs it. If you're not careful, you'll spend your best energy consuming distractions instead of sharpening your perspective. That's why daily learning must be sacred. It must be treated like fuel because it is. And if you don't fuel your mind with purpose, the world will fill it with noise. The power of daily learning is not just in what you know, it's in who you become. When you learn something valuable, you start to see the world differently. You see solutions where others see problems. You see opportunity where others see risk. You communicate more clearly, think more critically, and lead more confidently. You become someone others turn to, not because you talk louder, but because your words carry weight. And that weight comes from depth. Depth built through daily study, reflection, and application. There will be days when you're tired, days when life feels too busy, days when nothing seems to be working. And those are the exact days when learning matters most. Because that's when most people stop, that's when they make excuses. But when you keep learning through the chaos, you prove to yourself that growth is non-negotiable. That no matter what's happening outside, you're still building strength inside. This mindset is what separates the good from the great. Most people stop learning once the external rewards stop. They wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect course or the right moment. But the ones who grow daily don't wait. They create. They find the time, they find the books, they ask the questions, they listen to those ahead of them, they write down ideas, they test theories, and they keep going, not because they have to, but because they've tasted the power of progress, and nothing compares. You don't need to know everything, but you do need to learn something every day, because every day the world changes. The economy shifts, technology evolves, culture moves, and if you're not learning, you're falling behind, but if you're learning, you're adapting, you're sharpening your edge, you're preparing yourself not just to survive change, but to lead through it. It's a simple decision, but a powerful one. Never let a day go by without adding value to your mind. The world will offer distractions. Life will offer resistance. But if you can commit to feeding your mind daily, no matter what, you'll build a life others will wish they had, not because it was easier, but because you became wiser. Let me know if you'd like to expand Keynote 4 in this same compelling tone, or adapt this into a narrated video format with visuals. Success is something you attract by the person you become. That one truth changes everything. It flips the script. Instead of chasing after success like it's some distant prize to be won, you realize it's drawn to character, to competence, to who you are when no one's watching. You don't need to beg for opportunity when you've become someone who naturally attracts it. You don't need to knock on every door when your value is so clear that doors open on their own. This doesn't happen overnight. It happens through consistent growth, daily discipline, and an intentional decision to become more than you were yesterday. Success doesn't respond to wishes, intentions, or potential. It responds to preparation. It responds to value. And value is something you develop through education, through experience, through effort that most people won't see and will never applaud. But it's that invisible work that creates visible results. Every skill you develop increases your value. Every book you study deepens your perspective. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you sharpen your edge. Over time, these decisions compound. You start thinking differently, speaking differently, showing up differently. People notice. Opportunities notice. Life starts shifting not because it suddenly got easier, but because you became the kind of person who can handle more and do more with it. This is why self-education isn't optional, it's foundational. You're not reading to impress anyone. You're not learning to sound smart. You're developing internal assets that no one can take from you. Assets like clarity, resilience, emotional intelligence, self-discipline, and creativity. These aren't traits you're born with. They're qualities you build. And when you build them, you stop depending on luck. You stop hoping that success will find you someday. You realize you're building a magnet strong enough to pull success toward you. But none of this works without action. The person who simply reads and never applies is no different than the one who never learned. Knowledge must move. It must be tested, shaped, lived. Real transformation comes when you take the principles and put them to work. That's where confidence is born. Not from theory, but from practice. From trying, failing, adjusting, and growing. The beautiful part is, you don't have to wait for anyone to choose you. You don't need to be discovered, promoted, or validated. You can wake up today and decide to become more. You can take ownership of your development and invest in yourself with the urgency most people only reserve for emergencies. Because in reality, a wasted life is the greatest emergency, and it often begins with neglecting growth. The person you become in private eventually shows up in public. The effort you put in when no one's watching creates the results everyone will later admire. But you must believe that every page you read, every lesson you internalize, every small improvement you make, it's not wasted. It's working. It's building something inside you that will become undeniable on the outside. People often chase outcomes. They want the money, the recognition, the lifestyle. But outcomes are echoes. They are the result of who you've become. Focus on becoming a person of wisdom, discipline, compassion, and clarity, and watch how those outcomes begin to chase you. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about uncovering who you're meant to be, and then committing to the process of becoming that person every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because in that commitment, in that pursuit of excellence, success doesn't just become possible, it becomes inevitable. Let me know if you'd like to combine all 4 keynotes into one full-length motivational speech, or turn this into a video script with scene and audio direction.